Hey everyone, welcome to the Plausible Live podcast where we cover true crime in its entirety. Some are unbelievable cases, some are completely fictional cases, but most of them are absolutely incredible. So, welcome, true crime listeners, to an urgent update right now on the Brian Kohberger case, one of the most watched cases in recent memory, the Idaho 4 murder case. This is a story that's gripped the nation, a tragic event that unfolded in Moscow, Idaho, leaving four university students dead and a community reeling. Well, in the pursuit of justice in this case, it's been complex and often very dramatic, as you know, with twists and turns that keep us all on the edge of our seats. Today, we're going to be covering some significant new information that's just been released and exposed by the judge overseeing this high profile case. The recent rulings, well, they're not just procedural, they're going to offer us a glimpse into the direction the case is heading and the strategies that will or will not be allowed in the courtroom. This is literally something that we cannot take our eyes off of. So we'll explore the judge's the firm stance that he's had on his trial timeline rather, and will perhaps notably even his decisive rejection of a key defense argument that could definitely alter the narrative. So join us right now as we go through these rabbit holes, these pivotal developments, and consider what they mean for the Brian Kohberger case and their families and the victims as the trial date now rapidly approaches. So we know that the legal proceedings surrounding Brian Kohberger have been a whirlwind of motions, arguments, intense scrutiny, right? It just seems like it never stops. At the center of these recent developments last week is a Judge Stephen Hippler's ruling that has now set a clear course for the upcoming trial. So one of the most significant decisions came in response to the defense team requesting for a postponement of the trial. The defense, citing various reasons, sought to delay the proceedings, which obviously is a common tactic in complex cases, to allow more time for preparations or to seek new avenues of defense. However, Judge Hippler firmly denied this request. No go. His decision underscores a commitment to maintaining the established timeline, which is nice, ensuring that justice will, while definitely will be thorough, it just won't be unduly denied anymore. I don't know about you, but I think this case has been dragging and dragging on long enough. So this means that the highly anticipated jury selection will indeed begin, get this, in August, right? With opening arguments expected to follow closely around the 18th of August. Guys, this is getting close. This is getting real close. The firm stance by the judge sends a very clear message that the court is ready to proceed, right? And the pursuit of justice for the victims, finally, and their families remains a top priority. This is what we've been looking for. But perhaps even more impactful was Judge Hippler's ruling on the defense's attempt to introduce evidence suggesting the existence of, get this, alternate perpetrators. Of course, in many criminal cases, the defense may try to cast doubt on the prosecution's case by pointing to other individuals who potentially could be responsible for the crime. Well, this strategy aims to create a reasonable doubt in the minds of the jury, right? However, in a decisive move, Judge Hippler rejected this request, stating unequivocally that the evidence presented by the defense regarding these alternate perpetrators was entirely irrelevant. This is a powerful statement from the bench, guys, indicating that the judge found the defense's arguments on the points to be without merit or to be insufficient enough to warrant considerations by the jury. This ruling significantly narrows the scope of the defense's arguments, forcing them to focus more directly on challenging the prosecution's case against BK himself, rather than diverting attention to other potential suspects. It's like, hey, look over there, he did it. Well, that's not going to work in this case. It's a critical moment that could shape the entire trajectory of this trial. So Judge Hippler's recent rulings, they've got profound implications on the defense strategy in the Kohberger case. By denying the trial postponement and more, by rejecting the introduction of alternate perpetrators' evidence, the judge has effectively narrowed the defense options. Like, they're running out of options now. Their focus is now going to almost entirely be on disproving the prosecution's case against Kohberger rather than attempting to shift blame to others. This is going to be fun, guys. This is going to be fun. This presents a significant challenge for the defense team as they must now concentrate their efforts on dismantling the evidence presented by the case without the ability to introduce alternate theories of culpability. So, in other words, they have to do their job, right? They got to do their job. We can expect to see a more direct and perhaps more intense legal battle as the defense works within these newly defined parameters. While appeals and other legal maneuvers are always a possibility, of course, these rulings suggest a clear path forward for the trial itself. So as we look ahead, the August trial date is looming very, very large indeed. Jury selection is going to be a meticulous process. Both sides are going to have a seat at the jury table, and they're going to have to find someone they believe is fair and impartial, right? The opening arguments, anticipated around, I think, August 18th, is going to be the first opportunity for both of the prosecution and defense to lay out their case to the jury, setting the stage for the weeks of testimony and evidence that's going to follow. So the outcome of this trial is going to have a far-reaching consequences, not only for BK, but also for the families of the victims, God bless them, who've waited for so long for justice. This case has captured national attention, right? And the resolution of it is undoubtedly going to be a defining moment in the ongoing pursuit of truth and accountability. The eyes of the nation, they're going to be on this courtroom as a legal process unfolds, striving to bring closure to a tragedy that has deeply impacted so many people. So then the recent ruling by Judge Stephen Hippler, they have brought a whole new level of clarity, urgency to the BK Idaho 4 murder case. By denying trial postponement and crucially, of course, by rejecting the defense attempt to introduce evidence of alternate perpetrators, the judge has ensured that the focus remains squarely on the charge against BK. These decisions, they underscore the court's commitment to moving forward as scheduled, with jury selection set to happen sometime in early August and those opening arguments to follow. So this case continues to be a focal point of national attention, and not just for the tragic loss of life, of course, but for the legal complexities and the pursuit of the justice it represents. As the trial approaches, the eyes of the public's going to maintain focus on the courtroom. We're going to be there. We're going to be there in spirit because we're certainly going to be following this case. Why don't you make sure that you like and subscribe or follow us wherever you're hearing this podcast so that you can catch along any new updates that we might have. But this new update this week in June, at the end of June 2025, this was a big one. So as the trial approaches, the eyes of the public is going to remain fixed on the courtroom, awaiting an unfolding of the events that will ultimately determine the fate of BK and hopefully bring a measure of closure to the families of the lost loved ones, right? We've got Kaylee, Madison, and Hosanna, and Ethan. So we encourage you to stay informed as this trial unfolds and to remember the victims and their families in your thoughts and prayers. So guys, thanks for joining us on this update. We will catch you on the next one at the Plausible Lie podcast. Thank you so much, where we cover true crime, some true, some outrageous, and some pure fiction. But this is the real deal. And we'll be following along, so make sure you follow along as well. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you on the next one.